Welcome to an interweb view with Ronald Ashkar of Win 911, and we're certainly be interested to learn about the things that they're doing in the IIoT space. Before we get started, I'd like just Ronald to give us a little background on himself and the company. If you would do that, please, Ronald.
Sure, absolutely. My name is Ronald Ashkar. I am the new guy to this group, so I apologize if you guys were hoping for something super technical. You got me. But I do promise I'll be a lot funnier than anybody else you would have talked to. So you get that. I come from the data security space and then the legal software space. So I'm very, very familiar with software and how companies kind of utilize that to advance organizational goals. I started working here about 3 months ago. I was just interested in kind of what they were doing. As a kid who grew up in the city, I had no idea about the big industry and plants and factories, kind of how our infrastructure was the kind of things that are gone through to kind of keep everything up and running. So I am very excited to be here and learn about all the other side of kind of what keeps our country going.
Very good. Okay, well, before we actually get into the details here, I'd like to show you what we're going to be writing and talking about. I should say in our webinar, we'll be speaking about it on Thursday. We run a webinar every Thursday on some aspect of IIoT, and the one on Thursday is going to be wastewater. And we contacted Ronald because we started writing about this Iowa City plant, and basically they're eliminating a night operator with the alarms and system that Win 911 is providing. So it's been a significant benefit to them, and they have been running it for some time. Now, that being said, I think we can move on to Ronald's PowerPoint presentation. And but to do that, I think we're going to make him the presenter. So Ronald, I'm going to click on that and make you the presenter. Change that all over.
All right, let me get my screen shown to everybody.
Yeah. There it is.
Get to the right PowerPoint. There we go. Can you see that okay?
Sure can, right.
Awesome. Okay, I'll give you guys a little bit of background of the company. We've been doing this for the past 25 years or so. Some of you guys are familiar, some are not. We handle alarm notification. Nothing overly complicated, but definitely very, very necessary. As kind of Bob pointed out, a lot of clients, wastewater, food and beverage, manufacturing, utilize us to not only, we don't want to replace personnel, we want to enhance the productivity and efficiency of our clients. Again, I'm kind of new to this space, and what I'm hearing is that it's not very cost effective for any company to have one person dedicated to one machine looking at it 24 hours a day. It doesn't make sense financially to have somebody just staring at, a machine or a screen in case something goes wrong. They need to be doing other, maybe more higher value added things, which is kind of where we come in. So in general, we plug in directly to the SCADA. It has an alarm, we see that, and then we notify the right person, which we'll come back to that in a couple minutes here. But in general, we just handle the alarm notification. So why is this necessary? For one, there's a lot of noise when it comes to alarms. If, some of the clients, like most clients, they have more than just one or two. I spoke with a gentleman earlier today who had 600 different alarms, and that was for one location, and they had 6 or 7 plants within their company. There tends to be a lot of noise. Some are mission critical, some are not, but if you can't tell the difference and notify the right person, then you're going to be up a creek, if you will. That's kind of where we come in. We can read those alarms, get them to Bob or to Joe or to Steve or to Susan based on their role, based on the alarm. The software runs by anybody being there. So again, if somebody's at home, if Sue or Joe's at home and they need to be notified, we can call them, we can email them, we can text them to make sure, again, the right person is notified at the right time.
And that a good example of that is these small wastewater treatment plants, because they only have a few people there during the day, and now they can eliminate that night operator, and they probably only live a few blocks away. If something happens, they send somebody over who's, as they point out in this article, the night operator wouldn't know enough anyway to do anything, so they really didn't save much of anything by having somebody there monitoring it compared to the right person gets the alarm and he goes over to the plant and eliminates the night operator more effectively. So yeah. So excuse
Absolutely,
my
absolutely.
intrusion. I just wanted to point that out.
And you're going to know a lot more than I will about everything, most likely, so feel free to intrude as many times as you would like.
Not at all, but please continue.
And along those same lines, too, we want to help to reduce costs, whether that's material costs, operating costs. The more things go wrong, the more cost that is to the company, whether that's in man hours or wasted materials or machinery that's been broken that could have been possibly avoided. The more insight and the faster you get that insight into these things, the better prepared you are, both to be, reactive and proactive to things going on. Along with that is safety. If something goes wrong, especially on something that's mission critical, that's safety oriented, you need and want to know immediately when that's happening. So that can again help to reduce the cost, fines, personnel costs, those things of those nature, and you become more efficient, more reliable with your operations and your runnings. Because again, the more visibility you have, the better you can kind of control and steer that ship as it's moving forward. All right, enough of that screen. Let's move on to the next one here. So in general, this says iFix. This kind of applies to whether you're using GE or Rockwell or Wonderware. We will plug into your SCADA, which is kind of what's showing here. The information from the alarm stored in the SCADA gets into our dispatcher, the brains behind the operations, and then based on the logic you set up, we can notify again Joe at home, Sue on the road, Bob on his couch watching the baseball game. We can do it any number of ways. They can be notified through one of four ways. We can give them a voice call, and that can happen through an analog phone line or voice over IP. We can email them. We can shoot them a text, or if they have a lovely iPhone or BlackBerry or Windows phone, they have a mobile app that they can download, and we can notify them that way as well. What's kind of unique about some of the things the way we approach things is that the notification methods, your phone, email, text, and mobile app, are two-way. Because one thing to just receive the message, so you can send out a message to 10 people, but you want to know who's going to be taking care of it. It's kind of the next step there. So once somebody receives it, they can acknowledge back and say, hey, you know what? This is Joe. I will take care of this. That way you can hold somebody accountable, make them responsible for that specific alarm. You don't have to wonder, well, 20 people got it. Did anybody actually take care of it? This way you'll know that somebody, A, will, and B, you'll know who that person is going to be handling that. So with our integrations, we realize that having to set up and configure all the alarms in your iFix can be kind of a chore at times, and then to having to go through and reconfigure those again in Win911 can also be a chore. So we have a direct connect to kind of help make that process a lot simpler. So once it's set up, we can pull the alarms dynamically from iFix or from Rockwell FactoryTalk or from Wonderware into our system dynamically. You don't have to configure them in both. It'll pull the ones you want. You can filter those a couple different ways. Won't get into too much specifics, but you can import the ones you want and leave out the ones you don't. That way you'll only be notified, again, on the most critically important ones. And then there's no need to reconfigure. All your alarms are maintained in your SCADA system. And the acknowledgments, whether that's through the phone or through the app or through text message, get sent back through us to your SCADA. That way it's not just cleared in our system, it's also cleared in the SCADA side as well. So in our newest product, which is debuting on April 10th, we're introducing tactics and strategies. The idea is we want to provide more flexibility in kind of the way people configure their alarms and notifications because business is done in so many different ways now. No two water sites may be the exact same. No two tire facilities are going to function the exact same as far as personnel, equipment, workflows, notification logic, all that kind of stuff. We want to make sure that our solution was flexible enough to accommodate any different scenarios. Our old version, version 7, was great, very popular, worked very, very well. It had some limits as far as how you can configure things. It was not nearly as flexible. Again, it works fantastically, but when you want to do things a certain way, it wasn't always good about being flexible enough to handle that. This new version definitely is. I'll go through kind of some of the notification methods. There is a mobile app you can get on your smartphone. I'm an Apple user, but it will work with Android and BlackBerry and Windows phones or tablets as well. The app is free. You just download it. Once it's configured and set up to sync with your specific instance of mobile 911, that way it knows which system it's talking to. It's yours, not Joe down the street. The notifications are pushed directly to that. From within there, you can see and acknowledge the alarm. You can also get reports and summary screens showing kind of what's been going on. So this is what it looks like. If you're on your phone, you get an alarm. It'll go through and show you, what time it is, what the alarm is, and the status of that alarm, if it's been acknowledged, if it's active, if it's unacknowledged. And those are pushed out dynamically. And then from within the app, you can also clear the alarms out, or you can go through and request alarms. You want to see what other alarms may have been active. And then from here, you can acknowledge that. You can see the status, and you can see more details there. The way this looks is customizable, so if you want more or less information, you can definitely have that geared to whichever way that you like. Everybody has a unique acknowledgement code. That way you can tell that it was Joe, not Susan, or Bob and not Greg that acknowledged that. That way, again, you can hold people responsible, because we got to make sure people are doing what they say they're going to do, and those alarms are taken care of. And we'll know, again, who does that. And then once it's acknowledged, you can see that it's been acknowledged and how that changes there. Same with the text message. This is what it looks like if you were to get a text message from the system saying, hey, there's something going on. Again, same information. You get the assembly welder's not functioning. It's active and unacknowledged. You get the timestamp on there. And you can also send messages through the text or through the app. That way people that are receiving that alarm as well will know that, hey, you know what, I'm going to take care of this. I'm 5 minutes away. That way you're not both going to the same location to handle this. And that gets sent to everybody else with an acknowledgement by Steve, again, showing his message and that he's going to handle that. Voice calls are the same thing. It's a text-to-speech engine, so it will call you. It will tell you the message. You will put your code in, and you can acknowledge it from there. Get through this screen here. And then you can have this emailed as well. So if somebody happens to be near a computer but not near a phone, you can get a hold of them that way. Same thing, they can acknowledge it. We're sending it to somebody's email address so we know exactly who that's going to. Depending on the location, some places have internet outbound, so email is great. Some places don't. They can use cell phone. We want to make sure we have different options for different people's network and security preferences there. And then same thing with the reporting. You can request reports to be included or pushed out as part of the alarm notification as well. We've been doing this for a long time. We have a lot of big customers that trust us. I won't bore you with all this, but just a few of them there if you want to take a peek at that. But again, we've been here 25 years. We are very good at what we do. We can always get better. So if, as you guys are using us, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, we'd love to hear back from everybody. But that is Win 911. Again, we are our alarm notification. If you've got a SCADA, if you've got things that could go wrong at your plant, factory, then we'd love to talk to you to let you know how we could help you kind of normalize, stabilize all those things. And Bob, thank you very much for this time.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you get off so easily, though. I'm going to have a question or two here. So
let's do this.
You mentioned the power generation and as one of the so many areas that we're following here. And with our IIOW, which is the Industrial Internet of Wisdom, what we're saying is that for all this to work well, the remote operator is going to have to pull in the subject matter experts at all the component suppliers when needed. So the alarm comes out and it's a simple solution, and the remote operator and so you alarm really just the first level of remote operation, and it's handled routinely. But if that is not satisfactory, then you move into higher levels within the remote operator's province, and then you start moving into contacts at the component suppliers, and there you might start with the routine. Most of the problems that come up at a valve, but the valve manufacturer can answer it with his first level remote operation. But the really complex problems with a pump or valve or some other burners or whatever may have to go to a subject matter expert who's one of just a few people in the world that could answer a question like that. So that's a roundabout way of saying, do you envision your system working with a large number of component suppliers also sharing part of this information as needed? and then also a tier of experts, starting with your routine, first level responders up through the, ultimate subject matter experts if needed.
Sure, you're definitely spot on there. So the end user could configure it in any way that they wish. So like you were saying, if they wanted to have that subject matter expert who's one of a couple in the world, they could have it notify their guys internally or their people internally, and then whoever that person is externally as well. They would have complete flexibility to make sure that the right person gets the information to be able to find that right solution.
And I noticed you did have priorities that these, or security rankings or something. So these things can be coded so they go to the right people and get the right level of attention.
Absolutely, and they can do that, with time delays and certain specific orders. They just so much flexibility in how they can make sure those issues are taken care of.
That's what kind of cost are we talking about for systems like this? What if a plant is budgeting something in round numbers, if you don't mind, just
Bob, since I started here, I have been begging them to increase the price because for the value it brings, I think it's too inexpensive. That being said, they didn't listen to me, so you guys can be thankful for that. The cost, there's 3 versions. There are standard, which is the intro version, interactive, the middle tier, and advanced. The cost is between $2 and $4 grand. It's $2, $3, and $4 grand, depending on which one that you want.
So yeah, that's a very, for people that are spending millions or billions or whatever, this is a drop in the bucket. So it's
yeah. When I first started here during the interview process, of course, I did my research on the company and competitors and costs, and I looked up SCADA prices and all that. And from what I found, SCADA prices can range, from 10, 15, 20,000 to 50,000 on up.
Right.
So when I was interviewing, I asked the people that I was interviewing with, why is this so inexpensive comparatively to the other products? And, I just got a couple of chuckles. But what I'm kind of seeing is that, my limited experience has shown me that if one thing were to happen, one alarm goes off and you're notified and you can prevent that event from occurring, this will pay for itself 100 times over with one event happening.
Yeah. Seems to be very cost.
We love hearing that.
Yeah, very cost effective, apparently. Well, I'm going to thank you here for participating. I'm going to hit the stop record button, and then you and I can talk for another minute or so.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bob.
But thank you very much for the interview here, and I'll just hit that stop recording